Hello friends, welcome to our channel CBSE English, the topper's choice. In today's video, we are going to discuss class 10th first lesson, A Letter to God. At the beginning, we'll talk about the author of this lesson. G.L. Fuentes is the author of this lesson. Gregorio Lopez Fuentes was born on 17th November 1897 and died on 10th December 1966. He was a Mexican novelist, poet, and journalist. He was one of the leading chroniclers of the Mexican Revolution. In his youth, he spent much time in his father's general store, where he came in contact with the Indians, farmers, and laborers of the region, whose lives he later described in his works. After unsuccessful efforts at poetry and novels, he began to draw upon his experiences in the Mexican Revolution. Later on, he became a teacher of literature at a school in Mexico City. In 1921, he began writing for the El Universal, often under the Tulio F. Piscin's pseudonym. His stories were seen as exciting, humorous, and symbolic of Mexico. A realist, many of his works concerned the oppression of Native Americans. His most celebrated work is El Indio, that is, The Indian, published in 1935, a fictional study of the life of Mexico's indigenous race. He was awarded the National Prize of Arts and Sciences in 1935. Theme of this lesson: the story, A Letter to God, is based on the theme that faith in God has the power to move mountains and satisfy our needs. However, it should also be noted that humanity also prevails in the midst of one's faith in the Almighty. This story beautifully sketches Lencho's deep faith in God and how the post office employees helped him anonymously by contributing money from their pockets to help the poor man in crisis. Introduction to this lesson. This story, A Letter to God, written by a great Mexican poet and novelist, G.L. Fuentes, revolves around the idea of having unquestionable faith in God. The story here is the one taking place in a Latin American country. Lencho, a farmer who is the protagonist of the story, writes a letter to God. In the letter, he seeks help from the Almighty as he discovers his entire crop yield has been destroyed by a devastating hailstorm. Although his wishes get fulfilled partially, if not completely, he remains ungrateful in the end. Moreover, he questions the honesty and modesty of the post office employees. However, these were the only beings who actually helped him with money, anonymously, in the name of God. Summary of this story: A Letter to God is a story written by G.L. Fuentes, which depicts the firm faith of a poor and simple-minded farmer named Lencho in God. Lencho was poor, yet a dedicated farmer. He was hoping for a decent harvest. To his dismay, a hailstorm came suddenly and destroyed all his crops and harvest completely. Seeing the damage, the poor farmer was taken aback and felt sad. However, he had a strong faith in God. He was a learned man who knew how to read and write. Due to his straightforward nature, he was certain that God would definitely help him. Thus, he decided to draft a letter to God while addressing his financial concerns to him. In the letter, he requested God to send him 100 pesos to sow his fields again and save his family from starvation. Soon he wrote a letter and went to the post office. He placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it into the mailbox. When the postman took out the letter from the letter box, he laughed heartily after reading it. He immediately rushed to the postmaster and showed him the strange letter. The postmaster read the letter but laughed out loud when he noticed that the letter was addressed to God. However, he was also moved by the faith of the farmer with which the letter was written to God. He lauded the poor farmer's unquestionable faith in God and decided to help him. Soon, he asked the employees of the post office to contribute some money as a charity and also gave a part of his salary so that Lencho's faith in God is not shaken. However, the money collected was a little less than what Lencho had requested from God. The postmaster then put all the money collected in an envelope and addressed it to the poor farmer. The following Sunday, Lencho went to the post office to check if there was a letter for him. The postmaster gently handed over the letter to him. Lencho was not surprised at all to see the letter with money inside the envelope. He confidently opened the envelope to count the money, but became angry when he saw that there was only 70 pesos in it. He was sure that God could have never made such a grave mistake. He instantly went to the window to ask for paper and ink and wrote another letter to God and dropped it into the letter box. When Lencho had left the place, the postmaster opened and read his letter immediately. In it, Lencho had raised a complaint to God that he had initially requested for 100 pesos, but he was upset to find 70 pesos only. Furthermore, he criticized the post office employees and felt that they must have stolen the remaining 30 pesos from his envelope. He urged God to send him the rest of the money since he was in urgent need of it. However, he requested God not to send the money through the mail because Lencho thought that the post office employees were a bunch of crooks who might have stolen the remaining money from the envelope. Now we'll discuss the main characters of this story. Number 1. Lencho. Lencho is the main character of the story, A Letter to God. He is a poor farmer who is the sole bread earner of the family. He had faith in God. Lencho lived in a small house which was situated on the crest of a low hill in the valley. Throughout the morning, Lencho sat in his house and waited for the rain to come. He wished for the rain or the shower for his field in which he had grown his crops. Lencho wrote the letter to God as he thought that he would be the only one to help him in his bad times. He wrote a letter addressing to God to send him 100 pesos so that he and his family can survive in such a difficult situation. Number 2. The postmaster. The postmaster in the story A Letter to God is of a very humble and kind in nature. When he saw that a person had written a letter addressing to the God, he read the letter and decided to help the innocent person. He very well knew that there is no address of God to which he will deliver Lencho's letter. Hence, he decided to not let Lencho's emotions down and help him by contributing money. But after seeing Lencho's second letter, everyone, including the postman, felt very sad as he had complained to God about the people working in the post office. Now we'll discuss the main points of this lesson. Lencho was a farmer. His house was the only house in the valley and on the top of a hill. Lencho's fields needed rain for a good harvest. He looked expectantly at the sky and it did rain at last. The drops of rain were like the coins for him. But his happiness was short-lived as very large hailstones began to fall after the rain. The hailstones destroyed all the leaves on the trees, plants, and flowers. There would be no crop that year. There was a single hope, help from God. On the following Sunday, he wrote a letter to God. He needed 100 pesos to sow his fields again and to live until the new crop came. He wrote to God on the envelope and put the letter into the mailbox. The postman laughed heartily and took it to the postmaster. The postmaster laughed too, but soon he became serious. He decided to reply the letter and help Lencho. He collected 70 pesos only from his employees and himself contributed a part of his salary. He put the money in an envelope and posted it to Lencho. Lencho had an unbroken faith in God, and he was not surprised when he received the money. His happiness was turned into anger as there were 30 pesos short of the money. Lencho could never believe that God could ever deceive him. So he wrote another letter to God reminding him that he received only 70 pesos sent by him. He asked God not to send the rest of 30 pesos through the mail, as the post office employees were a bunch of crooks. So dear friends, if you have liked this video, please click on like, subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon to get more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching.